Hello viewers, in today's class we are going to discuss yet another important and very conceptual problem from application of derivatives related to the concept of increasing and decreasing functions, right? So here we have this problem that is find the intervals in which this function f of x is equal to minus lambda cosine of 3x minus pi by 4 is increasing and decreasing, right? And where x belongs to this interval, that is 0 to 2 pi, and lambda is a non-zero positive real number, right? And here we are restricted to this interval, that is we have to split the intervals in which this function is increasing and decreasing in this range, that is from 0 to 2 pi, right? So let us start. Now we know that if we have a function, say y is equal to f of x defined in some domain D, right? Now this function y is equal to f of x is said to be increasing if the derivative of this function f of x is positive, right? That is f prime of x is greater than 0, and the function is said to be decreasing if the derivative of f of x is less than 0, right? So here in case of increasing functions, the slope must be positive, right? And in case of decreasing functions, the slope must be negative, right? So here the derivative must be positive for strictly increasing function, and the derivative must be negative for strictly decreasing functions, right? So our first step is to find the derivative of this function, right? So let us differentiate f of x with respect to x, right? So here lambda is a constant, so we can write it as such, and we have d by dx of cosine of 3x minus pi by 4, right? So now we have minus lambda. The derivative of cosine function is a negative sine function, so we have minus sine 3x minus pi by 4, and by chain rule the derivative of 3x minus pi by 4 is 3 times 1, and the derivative of pi by 4 is 0 because pi by 4 is a constant, right? So overall we have now f prime of x is minus times minus, this is positive, and here we have 3, so this is 3 lambda sine 3x minus pi by 4, right? So this is the derivative of this function f of x. So now for increasing function we have just said that the derivative must be greater than 0, right? So f prime of x must be greater than 0. So here we have 3 lambda sine 3x minus pi by 4 is greater than 0, right? So now we can this term 3 lambda can be taken to this side and it becomes 0 again. So we have sine 3x minus pi by 4 is greater than 0, right? Because this is a constant term, because lambda is a positive real number and it is non-zero, and 3 is a positive number, right? So 3 lambda is a positive number. So if we take or if we divide both sides by 3 lambda, we can get rid of 3 lambda, right? So now we have this inequality, that is sine of 3x minus pi by 4 is greater than 0, and now we have to solve this inequality to get the intervals. Now let us make use of the sign convention, right? So from trigonometry we know that here we have 0, here we have pi by 2, here we have pi, and this is 3 pi by 2, and here we have 2 pi, right? So this is the first quadrant, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth, right? And in the first quadrant this sine function is positive, right? And in the second quadrant the sine function is also positive. right? So sine of 3x minus pi by 4 is greater than 0. Now if we take theta is equal to 3x minus pi by 4, then we have this inequality, that is sine of theta is greater than 0, right? So sine theta is positive in the first quadrant and in the second quadrant, right? So when we go from 0 to pi, then sine theta is greater than 0, right? So it means that when theta lies between 0 and pi, then sine theta is greater than 0, right? Now let us substitute the value of theta as 3x minus pi by 4. So we have here 3x minus pi by 4, and that is less than pi, right? Now let us solve this inequality for x. So now let us add pi by 4 throughout this inequality. So we have here 0 plus pi by 4, and here we have 3x minus pi by 4 plus pi by 4, and here we have pi plus pi by 4, right? So we have pi by 4 here, and these two terms get cancelled. So we have pi plus pi by 4 is 5 pi over 4, right? Now let us divide throughout by 3. So we'll get pi by 12 here, and here we have 5 pi over 12, right? So this function f of x is increasing when x lies between pi by 12 and 5 pi by 12, right? So now we can say that this function f of x is increasing in the interval, that is x belongs to pi by 12 to 5 pi by 12, right? Now let us find out the intervals in which this function f of x is decreasing. Now for decreasing function, f prime of x must be less than 0, right? And f prime of x is 3 lambda, and here we have sine of 3x minus pi by 4, that is less than 0, and again 3 lambda is a constant, non-zero constant, and it is positive. So we can divide both sides by 3 lambda to get rid of 3 lambda. So we have now sine of 3x minus pi by 4 is less than 0, right? And we have assumed that theta is equal to 3x minus pi by 4. So now we have sine theta is less than 0, right? And we know from the sign convention that sine function is negative in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant, right? And in the first and second quadrant, the sine function is positive. So here we have sine theta less than 0. It means sine theta must be negative, right? So for those values of theta for which sine theta is less than 0, is theta greater than pi and must be less than 2 pi, right? So we'll go from pi to 2 pi, right? Now let us substitute the value of theta as 3x minus pi by 4. So we have pi less than, here we have 3x minus pi by 4, here we have 2 pi, right? So now to solve this inequality, let us add throughout pi by 4. So we have pi plus pi by 4, and here we have 3x minus pi by 4 plus pi by 4, and here we have 2 pi plus pi by 4, right? So these two terms get cancelled. So here we have 5 pi by 4, this is 3x, and this is 4 to the 8 plus 1 9, so we have 9 pi by 4, right? Now let us divide throughout by 3. So we have 5 pi by 12 here, and here we have x, and here we have 3 pi by 4, right? Because when we divide throughout by 3, so this 9 is cancelled by 3, so we have 3 pi, right? So this function f of x is decreasing when x belongs to 5 pi by 12 to 3 pi by 4, right? So viewers, this is how we can solve this problem, right? So this function is increasing from pi by 12 to 5 pi by 12 and decreasing from 5 pi by 12 to 3 pi by 4. And always remember that a function is strictly increasing when f prime of x is greater than 0 and decreasing when f prime of x is less than 0, right?